Thanks for checking out this recording of Mornings with Lone Star. Just to remind you that I'm broadcasting live every Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on irlonestar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. If you're interested in being a guest on the show, sponsoring the morning segment, or just have a question, email me at dick@irlonestar.com or visit us online at irlonestar.com/contact us. We want to say a special thanks to Mornings with Lone Star show sponsors, Conroe Coffee, locally owned and brewed in downtown Conroe, Texas. Check them out on Facebook by looking up Conroe Coffee. And the Conroe Americana Music Festival, 50 bands, 6 venues. Experience downtown Conroe May 5th through the 7th by purchasing tickets online at ConroeAmericanaMusicFestival.com.
I'm Brian Jacobs. I'm a first-year graduate student in the Master's Program for History at Sam Houston State University. And this exhibit, we put it together from a public history course that I'm currently enrolled in. We have about 6 graduate students and about 40 undergraduate students, and we've been working together as a team, one big team.
Oh, this isn't just you?
Oh, it's not just me. I mean, I'd love to take credit, but, I figure I'd give them their due. But yeah, we've been working together for the whole semester, doing research, building the project, and then getting interviews with individuals and promoting the exhibit. Today is showtime.
How did you get an interview with somebody?
Oh, well, not interview with the people. It was more of like interviews with descendants.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we went for.
So like questions were around, what was it like when your dad had yellow fever?
Well, yeah, it was like, oh, do you by chance have any records or like old hand-me-down stories, oral stories from your relatives?
So was it a success?
We had one that looked promising, and then they didn't really get back to us. But the interviews were not really that
well, it's
useful.
funny, Brian, we were talking about off the air about I'm amazed at the history masters and people who go into further studies of history, because no one cares in a sense. I know that sounds like I care. I like it.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the preserving the history, especially around this county, and especially how long we've all been here. It's amazing of what we've accomplished, especially the state of Texas has its own deep history. But when it comes down to certain people, how do you track these people? So we want them to come out to the Win Home and see y'all's work, especially about the yellow fever epidemic that happened here in Huntsville. And like you said, it happened. I guess it came from Galveston, really.
Yeah, it started in Indianola, but the big sweep hits Galveston first, and it works its way north. And
it's always Galveston.
Yeah, it's poor Galveston. I don't know how it's still around, you think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the reason why I really delve into history, why I really went into the master's program, why I have this emphasis on history, this focus, is that it's really important to know not only where your community's history and all that comes from and how it was shaped, but also in a broader sense how things got the way they are today. Our current state of affairs is this. How did it get to that? And history answers that question. And I think if everyone just had a better appreciation for history, that the world would be a better place. And, most people, they look at history and they think, oh, it's just a bunch of dates or a bunch of dead people. And I think that's just a failing of the modern school system, in my opinion.
I agree.
So,
do they even teach Texas history anymore in school today?
I was taught it in grade
school.
That was like
20 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
That was before the yellow fever epidemic.
Way back in my day.
So, but no, it's okay. I think it's a great idea, especially with something that affected this area specifically. And it's something that, like you were talking a little bit, I don't want to give away too much because we want people to come out to the Win Home up in Huntsville. But you were talking about the kind of the shift in leadership. This causes certain areas that get wiped out, and especially the hysteria. Because people are like, whoa, this person's dying of yellow fever, I'm out of here. So you have people scattering across Huntsville over maybe north, south, east, west, different directions. And everyone's leaving the towns.
That's right. Yeah, we saw about, when we were doing our research, it came to about 3,500 deaths in Huntsville. And, 3,500 deaths total, but 130 from Huntsville. And that totaled about 10% of the town's population, which, I think nowadays we're kind of desensitized to percentages. We're like, oh, it's only 10%.
Well, that's a noticeable difference. If you're taking 10% out of something, and you're going to be like, we're missing 10%, where do they go? And then they die this horrific death.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like they just kind of got swept under the rug.
Well, what I was going to say was we only, you see 10% die, but even more of the town fled. And so the biggest hit, I mean, we do have the hit caused by the deaths, but the biggest hit probably was from the shift in the population from just leaving. And this, Huntsville is, the target because that's where Sam Houston State is. That's the focus. But this also was the same, thing that happened to the surrounding towns. In Cincinnati, for example, that pretty much the same thing happened. A large amount of people died, and even greater amount fled.
Mm-hmm.
And so every major town in the area that was hit by this epidemic, you see this trend happen.
Well, it's almost like you say the smart people get out.
Yeah. You do see some die, but most of the intellectuals, the affluent.
Well, it was more of the leadership. Anything that helps the town move. When something like this comes to town, there's a good chance a good amount of them leave.
Oh, yes.
And probably not return.
That is true. Yeah. The individuals that wound up dying that were in Huntsville that were really important for the town's leadership and the town's morale. So as I've stated earlier, Sam Houston State University. I mean, I bet we can guess who it's named after. His wife wound up dying actually in this epidemic. So Margaret Lee Houston, wife of Sam Houston, wound up dying in this epidemic, and this was just one of the many notable people in the Huntsville community that died from this.
It is pretty interesting. So if you can give the audience a little bit more of an idea this week, so starting today.
Yes.
Going through when?
So it goes from today to Saturday, this Saturday, so from the 2nd to the 6th. Today, our opening ceremony is from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., but from that point on, from Wednesday to Friday, it will be open from 10 to 6, and then on Saturday from 10 to 2.
And it's free?
Yes, completely free.
And you go to the Win Home?
Win Home, yes. And so the address for that, it's the Win Home Arts Center, 1428 11th Street, Huntsville, Texas, 77340. And if you can't remember that information, if you show up to the campus, Sam Houston State University, pretty much everywhere in Huntsville tells you where to go or how to get there. They would be more than happy to tell you how to get to the Win Home.
Everyone's really nice there. It's weird.
Yes. The faculty are. I don't know.
I don't know about those history people, but
I know we history people. We're grumpy. We stay in our building. We only have one floor in one building. Yeah, I'm gonna take this time to complain. No.
Well, actually, one thing I do want to encourage folks is take a history class, at least one. When if you're going to college or you're going to anywhere really, just if you have an opportunity to learn a little bit more about it, especially Texas. I think Texas is even more. It's almost as more interesting than the United States history, but that's just because we're so integrated with Mexico and stuff like that. So
it's more relatable. When you hear about Philadelphia, you're kind of like,
I don't really know this. Yeah, it's a place. They have a bell, right? And then, but no, it's really cool. The yellow fever was a big deal in the 1800s, and luckily for us today, we don't have anything that's something similar to it at all. I guess what do you think? Like the most recent one was the Ebola thing. That was reaching it.
Well, yeah. If we want to talk about the United States, we really haven't had anything like this in a long time. The vaccine's been made at around the start of the 20th century for yellow fever, and we've kind of forgotten about it. It's just one of those things that if someone actually knows what it is, it's kind of like, oh, that's that thing from 100 years ago, right? Like a couple hundred years ago. But yellow fever is actually still around today, and Brazil actually is going through a really bad case of that. I think it just hit Rio a couple days ago. And, it figures poor Brazilians, they had the Zika virus earlier, and then now they got this, all mosquito-borne viruses.
Yellow fever can be given to you by mosquito, can't it?
Yes, that was the main vector, was from a bite of I can't remember the exact what species of mosquito, but it was a mosquito that caused it.
Well, thanks to the commissioners here who regularly spray mosquitoes. Thank you.
Yes, and if you think, for whatever reason, if you had the yellow fever, don't worry. There are vaccines.
Show up at the Win House and talk to Brian. You are playing a doctor today, though.
Yes. So, we are actually for today only. So maybe this is incentive to go there 5 to 7. We'll be doing it all day. We are doing live reenactments of people from that time period. And so I'm actually playing Dr. Pleasant Williams Kettrell, who was an influential doctor in the area. He was a friend of Sam Houston. And if any of you are UT fans, alumni, or students, this guy, Kittrell, Dr. Kittrell, he is responsible for the bill that made that happen, made UT happen. And he wound up dying in the epidemic in 1867. So I'm playing him, and I'm actually going to be the one checking individuals into the Win Home, authorizing you to come in, being like, oh, you got a clean bill of health, go on in.
That's going to be a lot of fun. So, Brian, do it one more time for the folks. Where do I go? When is it? And what am I going to learn?
All right, so the event is called Yellow Country, the Epidemic of 1867. It can be found at the Winhome Arts Center, located at 1428 11th Street, Huntsville, Texas, 77340, from 5 to 7 through Saturday. So 5 to 7 today, 10 to 6 from Wednesday to Friday, and then Saturday 10 to 2. I know it's kind of weird hours. And if you need help finding the Winhome, go to Sam Houston State University in Huntsville, Texas. They'd be more than happy to instruct you where to go in the city.
Or I bet Google has that. Does Google have it?
Oh, yes, Google has it,
There
but
you
I'm
go.
just for whatever reason.
Is that double N, W-I-N-N? Or...
Oh, yeah, so Winhome, it's W-Y-N-N-E.
Okay, there you go. Brian, thank you so much for letting us know about this cool thing y'all are doing, and we look forward to hearing how it went this week. Again, folks, check it out, and if you're just now listening out, we're going to put the information below in the podcast on the page and on YouTube, because we did YouTube this interview. So if you're just now tuning in, we're hanging out with Brian from Sam Houston State, talking about the yellow fever epidemic, and a cool project him and his, I guess, what do you call it, the clan? What do you call you guys?
Cohort.
The cohort put together for you guys to come experience what happened in Huntsville and the surrounding areas. You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio here on irlonestar.com. We got great music coming your way. Stick around. We'll be weathered.
3 days of music. That's right. 3 days of music in downtown Conroe on May 5th through the 7th. 6 venues, 50-plus bands. Dale Watson and Ray Benson, Ruthie Foster, 2 Tons of Steel, Texas bands like Folk Family Revival, Band of Heathens, Uncle Lucius. This is Conroe's Americana Music Festival, bluegrass, rockabilly, folk, and Southern Texas country. Tickets are $75 for all 3 days in downtown Conroe, $50 for Saturday, and $35 for Friday or Sunday. All this and more is happening in downtown Conroe, Texas on May 5th through the 7th. Get your tickets online right now at ConroeAmericanaMusicFestival.com. Tickets are limited, so get yours today. ConroeAmericanaMusicFestival.com.